Hi everyone, I'm Nicole. Welcome back to my Dear Diary series. Today was another one of those days where it was hard for me to turn on the camera, I'll be honest. I just felt like, I don't really feel inspired today. It's just one of those days where it's not been a bad day. It's actually been pretty good. I've done some fun things and I've worked on some things that I'm passionate about. But overall, I'm feeling a little bit of heaviness, or maybe more than a little bit of heaviness, and it's stemming from multiple different areas. I feel right now that it's becoming undeniable that we are living in a broken system, a broken, outdated system that is no longer serving us and is keeping us trapped. That's at least how I feel, and it's becoming harder to not acknowledge that. And I don't think that the answer is to ignore it, but at the same time, I don't think that the answer is to drown in the worry or misery or doomsday thoughts about it either. So I'm someone who's in the middle. I try not to watch a lot of mainstream media news and consume too much of that. But even outside of like politics and worldly things that are going on, I feel that we are so divided, not only as countries and nations and on the world scale, but also just in our own daily lives. Not the kind of division that necessarily equals war, but the kind of division that keeps us disconnected from the humanness of life. And I'm thinking about AI and how we've become so reliant, and I believe even addicted to our phones and just screens in general. And I'm not exempt from that. I feel very much a part of that. And sometimes I wonder, oh my gosh, am I addicted to consuming? And it's not even bad types of content that I'm consuming, it's even inspiring things. But to be so used to looking at a screen for a large portion of the day feels life sucking. And I am trying to find that balance for myself and just my internal center when it comes to how much of our lives are in the online space. People run businesses from their phones. People, of course, market their businesses on their phones. We buy things from our phones. We create friendships from our phones. We create community from our phone. We create relationships sometimes through these dating apps and all sorts of things. We can order food. We can do almost anything from our phone. And it's feeling a little bit overwhelming to me in this moment. And I don't mean for this to be a doomsday video, because that's not the case. I do believe that it's a beautiful time to be alive, and we have a gift that we've been given to live this life right here, right now. And I do feel that it's a very pivotal time in history across the board. And I'm grateful to be here. And I really do think that I'm meant to be here. And those of us who are here right now have a reason for being here, a greater purpose behind being here. But as the human, Nicole, I'm just like, wow, it can be so overwhelming and confusing as to where to direct my energy, where to be more careful about my energy, what to put my energy into, because I, on one hand, don't feel aligned with everything going on, whether it be living from the online space or the propaganda that is shared in the news or the division that's being driven. But I also don't feel that it's my soul's purpose to speak out against those things or to be really loud and draw more attention to those issues. I feel like I'm more someone who's supposed to raise my own frequency, my own vibration, and emanate that and allow that to touch people in whatever way it's meant to. But at the same time, I don't always feel like that is an easy job, because I have moments like this where I just feel like, wow, what is our world coming to? Like, what are we moving through? It is just so much. And again, it's highs and lows, just like the premise of this video series. I'm not always in this space, but when I do get to this low feeling, I try not to run from it. I try to just observe it and ask myself, what is it that I'm feeling? What about this current time and space feels overwhelming? And to allow myself to just notice what is happening, what's coming up in the collective, what options I do have, and then doing my best to follow what feels right within my body in each moment. So, for example, I'm really on the edge when it comes to using AI because I do believe that it has a lot of incredible features that can be helpful for humans. But at the same time, I don't want to feed a system that is living primarily based on AI creations. And I don't want to be someone who is ultimately going to be consuming AI creations. I'm thinking about poetry, songs, teaching methods, books. I don't want to only consume AI content. And at the same time, sometimes when I'm working on things, working on tasks, it can be helpful to have AI's assistance. So it's the whole thing in and of itself. But being on that edge, it's continually coming back to my inner awareness and feeling, does this feel right in this moment? Does this feel aligned for me in this moment? Is this something that I want to fuel in this moment? Does it feel right for me? And I've found that it can go both ways. And I think that's the confusing and overwhelming part sometimes, is that these things aren't clear cut. There's a lot of gray space between what is going on right now. It's not black and white. It's not necessarily easy to see on the surface what is right versus wrong, truth versus fear-based false narratives. It really has to be recognized from within. Our eyes and our mind cannot necessarily determine and unblur those lines. And that's what I'm finding for myself and observing in humanity, is that I really do believe and feel that we're being asked to come into greater awareness of our body's wisdom and of our body's ability to decipher between those gray lines, and only our bodies can really make that clear for us. It's not our minds that's going to be able to do it. And this is uncomfortable because we're so used to living from our minds, computing and calculating from this headspace, that we are being asked to come into our body, and it's like a training ground. So that's basically what I'm feeling into, is my own experience of making this transition from observing and calculating what is right, wrong, good for me, bad for me, from the place of my head, moving down to the place of my body and allowing that muscle to get stronger so that I can flow through life in the most aligned way for me possible. But it is definitely a lot. So if you're feeling anything similar, I just want you to know that you're not alone. We are all in this together, and truly love always wins in the end. Thank you guys for tuning in today, and I look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow.